The Taranis X9D has been one of the most popular transmitters in RC for quite some years, but if you can't afford one or you need something smaller and multi-protocol, then this brand new transmitter from iRangeX might just be the one for you. So this is brand new and has just arrived with us from Banggood. I took the usual black packaging off it so that I could speed up this unboxing review and get it out quickly. This is a brand new transmitter from a company called iRangeX. Now you might remember that brand from a while ago when we reviewed one of their tiny little micro receivers. Well, this brand have now expanded their range and have produced this transmitter, which could be quite interesting. Let's have a look. Now what makes this transmitter very interesting is not only its price, which is incredibly cheap, but also the fact that it is multi-protocol. And by multi-protocol, I don't mean you have to use different modules with it. Out of the box, this supports most of the popular 2.4 gig protocols out there, so this could be really interesting. So there it is. We'll have a very quick look at what else comes with it, and then we'll come back to the transmitter. Otherwise, in the box, we've got a basic USB cable, and it's sad to see actually that that is a micro USB. It's not one of the newer USB ports, and that's a shame. I hate that old USB type plug, but anyway. You also get bundled with this a micro 8-channel receiver, so that's quite nice. Not only are you getting the transmitter, but you also get a compatible receiver with it. So not sure about the range of that one. It is not a diversity receiver either, it's a single antenna, but we'll have a look at that more in detail later. For now, let's have a closer look at the transmitter, because that's all you get in the box. So it really is a great looking transmitter. You might already have noticed the similarities between this and the TBS Tango. Very similar looking, and no doubt the Tango was the inspiration for the design of this. But let's think about the FR Sky Taranis. This isn't an FR Sky design. This design of transmitter has been around for probably 30+ years. In fact, I remember my old JR transmitter, exactly the same, almost could have come from the same moulding. So transmitter manufacturers have been copying each other for years. This clone concept is not new, so please let's not get all hyped up about it. Now when you look at pictures of this, it does look much smaller, and I actually expected it to be a much smaller transmitter than it actually is. But again, next to the Taranis, it is actually slightly wider than the Taranis. In fact, if we look at the depth of them, the Taranis is slightly deeper there. And in terms of the height as well, you can see that this one is slightly more compact. It does adopt kind of a gamepad shape as well, which I really like. Looks very trendy. You do sometimes feel a bit like an old man when you're flying your modern racing quads with this old-fashioned chunky transmitter. Now, if we look at weight as well, let's get the handy scales into view here. The Taranis with batteries installed weighs in at 855 grams. Never actually thought about just how heavy the Taranis is, but that's quite a weight. Now, the new iRange transmitter weighs in without batteries at 395. It takes 4 AA batteries, so if we put those in as well, and we're up to 493, which is still a very respectable weight, much lighter than the Taranis and other transmitters of its class. And you know, as far as transmitters go, Taranis is actually quite a lightweight one anyway, considering its functionality and specification, but this is lighter. So if you are traveling, etc., this might be a better option. This retails currently on the Banggood website at about £60, that's around $70, and it comes in black or white and also mode 1 or mode 2, and I've got the mode 2 version here with the throttle here, of course. Unlike the Tango as well, worth mentioning that this is multi-protocol again, so you're not having to install different modules to access different 2.4 protocols. It's got a lovely big 2.8-inch LCD screen in the middle, and it actually comes with a protected bit of film over there, hence why it probably doesn't look so shiny, but I'm not going to take that off just yet. I'm a little bit OCD about that. This does have model and configuration memory as well via USB, so a little bit like Taranis. You can program this thing by plugging into it. You see the USB cable port there, and using that port you can configure the models, the setup of the actual transmitter, also graphics and GIF files that appear on the transmitter screen as well. It's got a 255 model memory. God, if you own that many quads, then you're probably much wealthier than me. It's got some nice gimbals here. They do feel very smooth as well. It's quad bearing apparently. They're very, very lightweight. So if you are into very lightweight gimbals, this might appeal to you. You can't feel any ratchet there as well. They are very, very smooth indeed, very soft. And the gimbal sticks here do actually unscrew as well, so you can raise those or lower them, or in fact even replace them if you really want to. We've got a wide range of switches on here as well, the usuals that you'd expect. We've got the 2-position shoulder switches, we've got some dials on top as well. Then on top we've got, again, 2-position switches there. We've got 3-position switches here. And then around here, now our trims gone are the old click trims that you'd normally have top and left or top and right of the actual gimbals. These are digital, so I'm guessing they're going to be shown on the screen. That's quite nice because also they're nice and accessible. That's really good when you're flying. Then we've got buttons in the middle, EXT and ENT. I'm guessing that's probably exit and enter, so that you can control the various functions when you're paging through the configuration. And then here we've got buttons I think we'd probably use to navigate the actual setup here. So up, down, left and right. So they're all the buttons that we have on here. So looking at the top of the unit, and one thing you might notice is missing is an antenna. Now, I'm not quite sure how they've done that on this. You'd expect to always see an external antenna so that you get some decent range. I do wonder if the lack of an external antenna on this is perhaps going to limit its range to far less than that of the more powerful Taranis. Not sure, and we're going to have a look at that, I think, when we flight test this to see what kind of range we get. Who knows, all kind of random ideas. Maybe they've used the transmitter rest here as part of the transmitter. I really don't know, but it is nice. It includes the transmitter rest that you normally expect to see on every transmitter. Now, this is the first gripe that I have. The transmitter doesn't come with a lithium polymer battery, and instead you get one of these little battery carry cases. I'm not a massive fan of these. I don't trust them. They can often corrode. And I just, you know, when your model's in the air, you don't want that model to fall to the ground because, or fail safe because your transmitter power supply has packed up. And so I really don't trust these, but for testing purposes, we're going to use it. It is pluggable, however, so I don't see any reason why you can't find a suitable lithium polymer or lithium ion pack or even a NiCad pack to plug in there instead. Also on the underside are some nice rubberized grips so that when you're holding the transmitter, it's nice and doesn't slip out of your hands. That's the last thing you want to happen when you're flying your quadcopter at speed. So I must say it's very comfortable actually to hold. Very, very comfortable indeed, and it really does feel like an Xbox controller or a supersized PlayStation 4 controller at least. So with our batteries installed, on the underside here, we've got the on and off button. Now there is a note in the instruction manual and on the website actually that says when you turn this off, wait before you turn it back on. Apparently you can't turn it off and on quickly because according to the Banggood website, it needs time to start up. So yeah, I'm not quite sure about that. Also regarding the manual, you don't get one with it. So you're gonna have to look online for that manual and I'll put a link to that in the video description. So let's turn it on and have a quick look at the display. So the first thing you'll see there, now I've turned it on, is actually it's telling us that our throttle value is not at a safe setting. So we'll put that back down to 0 and we're now in. We didn't get any switch warnings, but I would imagine that's probably just simply because we haven't set those up in the model memory, etc. yet. Now that we're powered up, you can see we get a real-time throttle display there, percentage. The screen is not beautiful, I must say. We've not got colour here, clearly. And it is very, very basic. It's definitely not like the Taranis display. I think what we're going to do is in a future video, probably the next video or next couple, do a video that actually runs through the features of this transmitter in much more detail. All I wanted to do in this part one is really the initial unboxing, just to get this out and show you guys. Pressing the enter button in the middle takes us to one of the configuration menus, and you can see here we've got the model memory, transmitter menu, USB and about deviation. So that gives us a clue about the firmware that it's running. You'll have noticed deviation probably on the Walkera transmitters, the Devo 7 for example. I believe they run that firmware. But yeah, well, as I say, we'll venture into the menus in more detail at some other point. With it powered on, we can also see now the trim switches as well. So when you press those, you get the little indicator in the middle moving. That shows you where your trim position is. You can also press and hold those to very quickly move between different trim positions. So I quite like that, that's pretty neat. So that's it for this part one. Overall, considering the price, this is only £60, $70, and you get a receiver with it. That's ridiculously cheap. Considering that price, it feels pretty well made. It's not beautiful, it's not immaculate, but then again, if you have a closer look at the Taranis and other FR Sky transmitters, they're not beautifully made either. So, you know, this is almost a budget industry these days. You're not really paying £400 for a transmitter anymore like you used to, and so you can't really expect the same level of quality. But yeah, overall, I would say this looks pretty fun. Looking forward to testing it, and we'll be doing that in a future video. So links to this product are in the video description. Be sure to leave a comment below with your thoughts about this transmitter, give the video a thumbs up, and of course click subscribe so that you don't miss out on part 2. Thanks very much for watching.